All right, and welcome back to our second game of the day. We're only having 2 games today, so it is going to be a little bit short, but it's going to be an exciting one as we've got the Ugly Barnacles facing off against Team H Block. I am Sharogan, and once again joined by my fellow caster, Asim.
Yeah, and we're coming off the heels of a banger from the SGR Pog game, so I expect some equally crazy stuff coming out in this game, although it should realistically be pretty one-sided for Tub if things to go by the record.
The Ugly... Did the Ugly Barnacles lose a game?
They lost one game to Udyr.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I can't believe I'm forgetting about that. Like, I don't know. Like, I knew that they had lost. I don't know. My brain just had a brain fart. For some reason, I thought they were still undefeated. I don't know what's going on. Either way, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So, if we're looking at the builds, I think this is going to come down to a jungle fight, personally. Just, it's going to be a Ryer versus Pro Lupul, and I'm kind of putting it in Ryer's favor at the moment.
Yeah, Ryer's one of those players I've rated pretty highly for the entirety of this season. I think he's one of the better junglers in this league, if not the best jungler in the league. And I mean, like, he's been taking over games pretty easily for Tub, all their games. And I expect him to do the same here against Pro Lupul. I think HBK has shown some signs of life recently, but I mean, ultimately, even with this roster swap, they weren't able to succeed that much with it in the last time they played. And I don't expect it to go that much differently playing against Tub now. Floral has shown some pretty good performances, but again, Crumpy and Lamar have been pretty stable, and I don't think they're going to punish them that hard. So we'll see how it ends up working out for them, but I have high expectations for Tub to just run over this game.
Yeah, that Crumpy Lamar bot lane is honestly kind of scary. Crumpy just as a general is a little bit of a terrifying thing once you see him start going off. And then we got Wuatan up top. Just all members of Tub have been super outperforming. I am hoping and I am expecting HBK to put up a fight, though, and it be at least not just roll over and give them a win.
Yeah, and I think if HBK want to win, they're going to have to try to play through this spot. So I think Floral has been really strong and has the potential to win lane here. And while Crumpy and Lamar are a very stable bot lane, I think they are punishable. So I'd like to see HBK play to that and try to get their bot lane ahead. But we're going to see what happens. They've already picked up the Tristana, which can be flexed, but I would expect to just go bot lane because I'm not sure the Lazy Ostrich really wants to play it that much, and Crumpy has played it a lot.
And we do have a Hecarim being hovered and picked.
Yeah, meanwhile, HBK is playing on patch 11.6, apparently.
I was going to say, Hecarim is not as strong as he used to be. Just in the current patch, he's actually kind of like, maybe he's come back a little bit with the jungle changes. That may improve him a little bit, but he got some pretty hard nerfs. It really isn't. Rumble, in the meantime, is coming out. Maybe we'll be seeing an in-lane Hecarim and a Rumble in the jungle.
I don't even know what HBK is thinking. It looks like apparently they do read the patch notes because they are picking up the Rumble here, but then they simultaneously first pick the Hecarim, which is just bad. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I do think Hecarim does bring some utility to the table. He does have a fear. He does have a knockback. So in theory, you can use him to shove certain members of Tub around. But I feel like from HBK's standpoint, just seeing the Aatrox and the Nautilus come out, you just know that you are starting to see a juggernaut built on the side of the Ugly Barnacles.
Yeah, so I think Tub's just committing to drafting equally random stuff as HBK, picking up the Aatrox blind in the top lane, as well as the Nautilus blind for support. I don't know what's happening in this draft, honestly. I think both teams are just kind of picking up comfort picks.
Whoa! Do we have 3 junglers picked on the side of HBK?
So Zach is actually an interesting one. I think Rumble also can go mid or top, right? I think Hecarim's pretty much locked to jungle unless you want to do some really crazy stuff. But Zach is an interesting one because AP Zach is kind of making a resurgence right now in light of some buffs to his AP scalings, especially on his W. The percent health scaling has been increased substantially recently. And so AP Zach mid is actually viable right now, as is AP Zach jungle and AP Zach top. You can still build him tank, but I would be really excited to see something like the Rumble jungle here, or even the Rumble top with the Hecarim jungle and the AP Zach mid. I think would be really fun to see.
I think that's probably the most likely scenario. You throw that Rumble in a lane that he's used to being in. He's always been a strong pick. We do have a mid and a jungle ban coming out from the side of HBK, getting rid of that Yone and the Rengar. I don't particularly remember the Lazy Ostrich playing a lot of Yone or Ryer on Rengar, so I'm not entirely sure about those bans. And we do have a Vayne ban on the side of Tub, which is honestly, it's a champion that's been picked, and in my opinion, shouldn't be picked because most teams do not know how to use her effectively.
Yeah, it's one of Floral's comfort picks. I understand why they're banning it here. He is actually pretty decent on her, but I do think the champion's pretty situational, and especially in a game like this, picking her into Tristana would be pretty bad, so I don't know why they want to ban it away. On the other hand, HBK is going to pick up looks like either the Jhin or the Samira. I'm not sure. Floral plays, a pretty small selected champ pool of things at pretty high level, I think, and We've seen his Jhin before against RLS. I think that it's potentially just going to go for the Kai'Sa, though, which is just... I mean, it's all right. It's actually pretty good against the comp Tubbs drafted. I think this is one of the few cases where taking Kai'Sa is not horrible at this point in the draft because it's pretty good into this comp, and Kai'Sa does counter this type of comp pretty effectively. And they also have support up last pick, so we'll see what they end up doing, but Tubbs in a pretty rough spot in draft here. I think HBK have potential to actually kind of at least get a draft win here and have potential to take away part of this game. Hecarim is still going to be a pretty big sort of weak spot for their draft, but I mean, I think the rest of it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, and we have the Orianna pick coming out from the side of Tub. A nice utility pickup, I think, for the mid lane, because you're going to be able to put that ball on either Tristana or on the Nautilus, and basically at that point it becomes either an engager and disengage tool with the ultimate drop down. And then you've got that extra stats bonus and the shielding. I think it's just a really nice pickup. Then we have a Viego picked up as well, so this is probably a Viego jungle that we're seeing, and we've got a Zilean hovered on the side of HBK. If there's any champion I dislike more than Wukong, it is probably Zilean.
So some fun
do not like
things
that
here happening. Zilean makes Viego's life very difficult, as does Zac. So both of these champions, I'm not sure why the Viego pick came in here. I think it's all right, but it is actually being punished pretty severely here. If you kill Zac and he goes into passive, you don't get the reset until you kill his passive. And the same goes for Zilean ulting someone. If you ult someone on Zilean and they get the revive, you're not getting a reset until you kill them again. So it is going to be pretty hard for him to snowball these team fights with these champions in the game. And while the pick in general is relatively strong, I think that picking it here is actually one of the worst cases for it. So we'll see if HBK can really exploit that and try to bait him into fights where he thinks he can get a reset off maybe and then get him to go on Zac passive or onto the Zilean ult. But ultimately, yeah, I think HBK's draft is actually pretty good here. I think the Zilean's probably going to be support at this rate. And, well, I think Zilean's stronger mid typically. It's not awful. I think he's always just kind of a sleeper OP champion people just don't really play much of. And we'll see if HBK can pull it off.
Hopefully, we'll definitely see. I'll have to get your predictions once we hop onto the rifts because I believe we're ready to go. But based off of the way these two comps have drafted, who are you kind of leaning on? I'm leaning in the direction of Tub just because I feel like while the Viego is probably the one weaker pick, the Zilean and the Zac being its main counters, I think that they still have a major advantage, especially with what's about to happen right here. Because we have a nice root coming out from that auto attack, and that is going to be the passive of Zac taken out instantaneously. No one's going to be able to help him out as that is going to be first blood over to the side of Tub within less than a minute.
So yeah, I think based on the draft and the draft alone and absolutely nothing else that's happened in the game up to this point, Tub's probably going to win, right?
Quite potentially.
I think after seeing the runes on all these champions, I actually am inclined to think that Tub has a better chance than they would have otherwise. Zac looks like he's going to go full tank with the grass build here, which I think is pretty much just worse than the AP build at the moment, especially into this team comp, which really only has Aatrox as a major like front line. You have an opportunity to blow up so many squishies if you AP Zac here, but I mean, he is opting for the tank build. Hecarim, again, is just bad. I don't know what he's doing. Conqueror is fine, but like, just the champ's not super good right now. I think Rebel mid's all right, but going Comet into the Orianna is probably okay. I don't mind it super bad, but again, like, you basically have a winning bot side, and your top side's this mess of tank Zac Hecarim, which isn't really do anything. I think Aatrox is going to get a lot of time to just get a lot of health back in these fights, Drain taking off the Zac if he goes this way. And while I don't love the Aatrox pick, I think the rest of the comp from Tub's pretty solid. I think the Viego is good, the Orianna is good, and Tristana is good. And they haven't really managed to exploit it. So unless Kai'Sa really pops off this game with something like a Zilean ult to protect her, or Rumble's just able to get super fed and make these equalizers delete their entire back line, it's going to be really hard for them to play the game with this Zac not being able to really frontline effectively against stuff like the Viego and the Aatrox just shredding through him.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really kind of interesting. And I think we're going to see right here that Idris does seem to have a slight advantage over Orianna, or especially in the early game. So that might be an easy win for him. Zac in the top lane, meanwhile, does not have passive, and he's not going to have it for quite some time. And as a result of that, it means that there's going to be a lot of kill pressure on the side of Aatrox, who likes dueling anyway. So I think that this is probably in the side of Wuatan for like the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, and you see this.
Yeah, see what I mean? We've already got a lot of damage coming out right there.
Yeah, and Rumble is also just a really disgusting champion. This early pressure you're seeing is pretty much just a product of the matchup. He just stat checks you super, super hard. He can walk at you and just do whatever he wants, and he's just so overstat at the moment he wins. So it's pretty hard for her to play this lane, I think. She should be able to get a little more advantage once she gets higher up in levels, gets a few items, but it is going to be pretty tough for Lazy Ostrich to play the game, especially if Idris plays the lane correctly.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on the Rumble forums who are not a fan of the changes to Rumble because they're like, oh, it makes him way too, he's overheating way too often. Look at this fight right here. We got Bobobo taking a lot of damage. He's not going to go down, but he doesn't have passive, so he's got to be super careful during those fights.
Yeah, so
but the fact
bot lane is able to get the shove in, and I mean, honestly, this is the point of the map they need to win for HBK to have a shot in this game, and I mean, we'll see what they can do around it, but top lane is certainly not going well, and while mid lane is able to get prio, maybe they can get bottom scuttle here and transition to something on bot side to pressure the bot lane off the wave, but they have to really just control this top side, because if things get out of control around here with the Viego, it's just over.
It is, and right now you can see you've got Pro Lupul and the rest of the team jumping in right here. We've got Hayat trying to get a kill. We've got a dive up here in the top lane as well. There is no passive available for Zach as Ryer manages to pick himself up a kill, doing exactly what Hayat was trying to do in the mid lane.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, they end up not being anything out of that gank mid. They waste the exhaust from the Hecarim, and they're able to pressure him off the wave. Lazy Ostrich has TP, so he can just come back. Or he can even just walk back if he really wants to concede some of this wave. And on the top side, Zach dying, he's just set so far behind at this point. He's already down like 10 CS. Aatrox being able to... Well, he doesn't actually shove in the wave. He probably could have. But again, those kills going over early for the Viego and the Tristana from the first blood are just really, really problematic.
And it was Pro Lupul's exhaust rather than Hayat. So Hayat still has his. Will be able to do another gank. I do feel like, again, this is a situation where I feel like Pro Lupul probably should have taken something a little bit more aggressive because they're going to be shoving this lane in anyway. They're going to want to be roaming, so you got to have that kill pressure. Not taking Ignite is going to be really detrimental because you're going to see Tub start to engage in these team fights later, and yeah, having the exhaust then will be okay, but I don't think it'll be enough to actually save your teammates.
I think they're actually almost going to run into the opposite problem here, in that they use the exhaust from the Zillion here, which I think is pretty important for them because it prevents Tristana from just going in on Rocket Jump off cooldown and just one-shotting your AD carry.
Yep. Oh, we got another flash coming out right there. That is going to be Rumble trying to jump in on this, but that is not enough damage. Lazy Ostrich does not have flash right now. They did use TP in order to come back to lane, so they're trying to force him out of the lane. That is Idris diving under tower, taking 3 tower shots. That is a death for him as he tries to run away from the Viego, but only to get killed by the Orianna.
Yeah, and that wave's going to bounce for Orianna, so it ends up being pretty costly for Rumble to lose a decent amount of this wave on the slow push back to him before he gets back to lane. And we'll see what happens. I mean, like, I honestly, again, what I was mentioning before, Pro Lupul using the exhaust early there means there's a lot more kill pressure in the bot lane, which makes it pretty scary for Floral. Meanwhile, Hayat really isn't getting an opportunity to use exhaust that much if he's not going to be ganking a lot, and honestly, I don't think he really has the opportunity to in many of these lanes. That's an okay kill from Idris, though. He does deny a decent amount from Lazy Ostrich on CS. Again, we talked about that wave slow pushing out for him. Orianna's not going to be able to pick up that CS as it pushes away from her when she's dead here. While his Rumble will be able to collect the wave once it comes to his turret off the bounce. So mid lane should be slightly advantaged now for HBK, but unfortunately, again, topside's just getting destroyed.
Yeah, I feel like the only lane that's really available for ganking look at this, you got this huge fight going on right here. Bobobo has his passive back, so he is okay. Hayat's going to be looking for a jump in right here, but obviously he got sussed out by that mid river ward, which, you know, you're always dropping the ward in the bush, so you think that's where it's going to be, but you drop it mid river.
Yeah, I mean, you see the CS lane already opening up in the jungle as well. It looks like Ryer's already have 3 camps on this Hecarim. He's been trying to get these ganks off and not really getting much out of it outside of Idris being able to flash for that 1 kill. And, I mean, Viego being ahead in this game is pretty scary just because he's able to get onto these carries like the Rumble, like the Kaisa, and even onto the Zillion, honestly, and just blow them up super quickly, get the resets, kill the backline, and, like, there's very little they can do if they're able to dive them with stuff like the Viego and the Tristana together with the Aatrox.
Look at this. This is a 3-man gank. We've got the Equalizer coming out trying to even up this fight, but that is going to be Lamar, the Lizard, having to flash out, but he's going to get taken out by Pro Lupul's bomb, and we've got the fight still going as Lazy Ostrich getting a lot of damage onto Idris. Idris has overheated, though, and he's taken a lot of damage. He's only at about a quarter of his health, and that is going to be the end of the fight. I thought it was going to keep going.
Really greedy pathing from Lamar walking up that way, actually being able to be caught out there. If he just walks around, he's totally fine, but I guess they were trying to defend against the mid lane gank and prevent the Orianna from going down, ultimately end up sacrificing for it.
I think so. We've got Ryer right here trying to ghost his way in. He goes for that. The red team does manage to get it with the smite, though. Idris is going to be already got the Tristana bomb, so he's going to go down. We've got Fire right there getting a lot of damage, and that's going to be a bomb on him as well. He does jump on, gets the reset right there. Pro Lupul is now in danger of getting killed by his own Hecarim. That is another reset as he takes over Zillion, jumps over the wall, does manage to pick up a quadra quadra kill, and that was just absolutely nuts.
How broken is Viego, by the way? What are we watching here? I mean, like, he was pretty close to death in that pit, barely gets the first reset through the exhaust, ends up stunned out of the reset by the zillion bombs, and still manages to just run around with like 1 HP, getting reset after reset, and ends up with a quadra kill.
Wait, was this an ace? So we've got a fight going on the top side right here with Bobo and Wuatan.
Yeah, he dies here.
Okay, yeah. So that is actually an ace. It was technically unable to get the pentakill because it was just on the other side of the map. But oh my god.
Okay, This is basically what we expected, to be fair, coming out from Tub. It's pretty much a stomp. Ryer's getting really, really fed on the Viego. And Viego being this far ahead, the game is basically unplayable for HBK. All of their carries are going to get one-shot by him, and they can't really do much to kill him, honestly. If he gets a single reset in the fight, he's going to be invulnerable for so long. The best they can hope for is like some crazy assassination where they're able to get the chain of the Hecarim Fear into like the zillion double bomb, stunning him onto the Equalizer or something. But that's just such a perfect like dreamland scenario for HBK. There's really no realistic situation they're actually going to win that, and
it's going to be super tough. They got to get some kind of like nasty pick, and it's got to be really, really awful in their direction.
Idri's taking a pretty bad trade in the mid lane, actually.
It's really awful.
Yeah, it's kind of runs in there overheated, thinks he's going to win on the stat check, but at this point, Lazy Ostrich actually does have the Lost Chapter, and I mean, he is actually doing a decent amount of damage with those autos on the return when he's running away. So it ends up being pretty bad for him, and honestly, it's pretty scary as Rumble in this situation now, because you are coming close to just being in kill range of Orianna if she's able to get the ult off on you.
Yeah, like he was actually, I feel like if that Orianna ball had been placed in a slightly different, like slightly farther, closer to the turret, he was going to get ulted in and pulled onto the tower, and in which case it was going to be a kill over for the Lazy Ostrich. Jumping onto this Viego real quick before we get too crazy. I feel like dealing with him is the same problem as dealing with a Silas, who has a massive amount of resets on his healing, where Viego has it on jumping into the souls of a dead enemy. So my question for you, Asim, is how would you deal with that? Is it just the passive?
He's 5-0 with Kraken Slayer. I don't think there's much you're gonna be able to do about this.
Well, no. I mean from a kit perspective, like his best way is what I mean. So like you've got the Zillion ulti, you've got the Zac passive. I guess you're right in the sense of that will delay his reset, but basically once he resets and has all that health back, it's kind of like one kill just sets him so far ahead in that fight. There's nothing you can do against him.
Yeah, I mean, the best you can hope for, really, is that you get him to try to go in on one of your carries. You're able to Zillion ult them, get the revive on that carry, and then you're able to burst him before you can actually do anything. Which, I mean, that is one of the things we talked about, Viego still being very squishy, even when ahead. That's why he needs to be ahead, is because he is so squishy. He needs to just be able to output so much damage that they can't return it in time. And he is at the point where he can do that now, being so fed, obviously. But,
yeah,
I mean, they do need to keep pushing this lead for him, because if he does fall behind, they can't actually just burst him out with stuff like the Rumble and the Kaisa. So I think that's the best case for them, is really just getting Zillion ult on a primary target. They're trying to get the reset off, failing the reset, and then just killing him. But I don't think Ryer should get baited by that. I mean, realistically, you can just keep looking for kills on the other side of the map where there isn't even a Zillion, and once he gets to team fights, they'll be so far ahead, it won't even be relevant.
Exactly, and look at this. We've got Pro Loophole. That's 2 bombs in a row
so
that
that's
he's
why you
missed.
exhaust, and he just didn't press it.
Yeah. Like that was just absolutely disgusting, and we've got poor Hayat, or not poor Hayat, poor Floral.
Over.
There's literally nothing he can do in that situation. I feel like you could almost end this. It's highly unlikely, but theoretically there's a way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen, but this game is over. I mean, there's no comeback here for HBK. Their comp is so much reliant on that Rumble and on the Kaisa being able to actually output damage, and if they get one shot by Viego or by Tristana at this point, like, there's nothing they can do. There's actually like no counterplay. Even if Kaisa plays perfectly, she will get one shot, and the best they can hope for is like a Zillion ult. But even with that, that's down now.
Yeah, because look at this. You've got the Bobobo getting jumped on by Wuatan, and Wuatan just dunking on him so hard. Kind of surprised we don't actually have a Dunkmaster Wuatan or Dunkmaster Aatrox yet. Maybe we'll see that in the future.
It's very important that we got Dunkmaster Ivern first. You have to understand Ivern's the quintessential basketball character in League.
Well, you see, he looks like Larry Bird, so it kind of makes sense. Look at this. Wutan just dueling like crazy. We've got there's the Zillion ult. It's going to keep him alive. Wutan's going to go down to the Zillion bomb, though, and that's going to be Zillion picking up kill.
TP'd into 3 people.
Lazy Ostrich TPing in. That is an inting TP, but I feel like it was also a situation where it doesn't doesn't matter because it's like delaying the fight so Viego can join right here, getting him that first reset, turning into Zillion, getting another kill,
might not have
reset
been the move.
number 2, and then we've got him taking on Hayat as Rumble and just dealing all of this damage. There's just really nothing that HBK can do at this point.
Yeah, I mean, even with all the ints going on, they end up still trading 2 for 2 just because Viego comes and cleans up, even though they're all full HP, basically. Tristana's, meanwhile, just taking the mid turret, getting all these plates. She's already got the bot turret in her pocket, and she's just so huge at this point. Already has Kraken Slayer. She's probably pretty close to PD at this point, and honestly, she's seeing a lot of gold, I imagine.
Quite a bit of gold. Look at this. Crumpy flashing that mastery as he just puts on the hurt to this tank. We've got the ult coming in from Lamar as he tries to take the turret. I think it actually was going on to Crumpy instead. Crumpy went in just a smidge early, but it's perfectly all right. We have a ward that gets dropped and instantly destroyed.
Yeah, and I mean, they're gonna get
don't even need to mention that Drake's getting taken. Like, that's happening, but it doesn't matter.
Lamar, I mean, has a chance of dying if he goes in like that under tower, but ultimately he's just so tanky and like they don't have the damage. They're so far behind. So even with that dive not going perfectly, Crumpy tanking aggro for a while, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, we got the war of the vision, the support.
Oh my God,
war
Idris
for vision.
Idris
is just getting caught out right there. That is a lot of damage on Ryer, honestly.
Ryer didn't commit to it. Oh, he doesn't have ult up. Okay, that's why.
Yeah, he doesn't have ult up, and he doesn't, I think, win that stat check. So
I think if he has ult, he can, but it's pretty close. He has the challenging smite as well, which he didn't end up burning because he didn't commit to the fight. But we have to realize challenging smite's a broken ability. It is essentially just ignite plus exhaust. So
that it
he probably does just win that if he actually commits to it with ult up. But now that his ult's coming back off cooldown, we'll see if he can take a fight and actually just kill someone right up.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going crazy. Is it Bobobo or Bonbobo?
I believe that is. I don't know. That is
Bonobo. Okay. Sorry. It's gotcha. Bonobo. Yeah, that's pretty nasty CS difference between the Aatrox and the Zac.
Yeah, it doesn't help that he's 0-4-0, been killed by the Aatrox a couple of times, also gotten killed in a couple of those fights on the top side where they've all collapsed, and I mean, Zac is just having not a good game here. This is really rough.
My question for you, are we gonna see Viego die this game?
Yeah, I think so. He's still so squishy, even in the late game. I mean, even if he's so far ahead like this and he's able to just kill everyone, I imagine at some point they'll manage to somehow catch him and just burst him because he is so squishy. But if they do that, Tristana will just clean up the fight. Orianna will just probably clean up the fight with Shockwave. Like, there's so many other ways for them to kill them all.
I'm expecting it to be a Zillion bomb that ends up taking him out personally. That's just what I think is going to happen. Look at this. We've got Orianna just going into the jungle. The disrespect on the side of Tub being like, oh, you want to farm? No, this is our jungle. Go away.
Yeah, I mean, like, they can't do anything here. They have no vision. They have no setup anywhere on the map for anything. All of their champions are behind. I mean, like, anywhere they go, Viego can just come and kill them all. So I think it's going to be a slow end for Tub, but they're just going to keep pushing in all these towers, taking objectives, and there's really nothing HBK can do to contest. All they can do is maybe look for some miracle team fight where they get, like, Zac ult and Equalizer down, but I don't even think they have the damage to really do much with that if they get it. They just need to keep scaling if they have any hope. And I hope that Tub can press the pace of this game to prevent them from really getting to those breakpoints where Rumble actually becomes relevant. Not to mention, Rumble just lost a shopkeeper buying Night Harvester, so we will see what happens.
Yeah, I feel like you're exactly right. Buying Night Harvester at this point, especially when you have a Tristana, it's going to be able to just jump on you like that with a double flash and ulti, and boom, you're gone. That is going to be another kill. Pro Lupo's probably going to ult himself. There we go. We got the ult coming out.
He's going to die again.
He's going to die, and we're probably going to have a hook coming out right there. Oh, it manages to hit the Hayat in the background instead of the Pro Lupo.
Well, Lamar not really on point with the hook quite there, but it doesn't end up mattering that much. Doesn't die for it, so even though it keeps Pro Lupo alive by him missing the hook, it doesn't actually change much for HBK.
This is very, very true. I think this is going to be a clean sweep. There's going to be no towers taken, I think, on the side of HBK. They are going to keep trying, but I don't think they're going to actually be able to get anything. Which is really frustrating. So I'm kind of like trying to think here. How would you come back from this? I mean, obviously, once you're in this situation, you're kind of like it's kind of a game over. Period.
I think you just have to sit Kai'Sa in a side lane, freeze the wave, and make them come to you. Try to look for an equalizer, engage onto the members that come because they won't commit 5 to the freeze, and then hope that you can turn it somehow. But I mean,
if you have a situation where you're getting caught out like that by the way Idris was taking all of that damage, Ryer getting so much. Here we go. We might actually see that kill coming out. He is gonna get bursted down, and like I said, I told you it was the Zillion bomb that took him out. Right there, we
Oh,
got a
and-
stun coming
okay,
out
well,
as
this
well. This
fight's
fight's
actually
still
looking a
going.
little bit
Look, Pro
rough,
Lupo
but-
is having to ult himself to stay alive. We have Bonobo. He
Wutan's
does
so
still have
tanky,
his
though.
passive, but Pro Lupo is going to get taken out by the Tristana. Hayat
does
trying to come
no
in from the back
damage.
line, but it doesn't matter because he's doing nothing to Crumpy. He had no movement speed as well, because if I remember correctly, that's exactly how Hecarim's ability works. He wants to be moving fast, getting more damage off. But it's not going to work out. Crumpy's going to come back to this mid lane, shove
I'm
this
gonna
mid
hope
lane
that
in.
us here at FOF and the teams here in this league can learn something from this game. At least use this as a learning experience to not pick Hecarim.
For right
because-
now.
Yeah, because I mean, if you just watch that, I understand he's behind, but he's doing no damage. I mean, he has Triforce stun, and he's actually not super behind in terms of just itemization. He's only like half an item down, but he just like realistically, most junglers here would at least put some threat onto Crumpy there, and he just does nothing.
There is no level difference either. He's only one level behind, which with the current catch-up XP is nothing. Or actually, no, it's technically 2 levels behind because of the way Riot does their rounding, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In addition to that, just like his clear is still, you know, it's okay, but you're not matching the top meta junglers, and stuff like the Viego still snowballs out of control before you can really respond to him. I don't know. It just feels so bad in this game if you're playing Hecarim. I feel like Hayat couldn't have done anything really. Like, I mean, he could have path better maybe, but ultimately he has so little agency to do anything just because of his champion.
I completely agree with you. I feel like Hecarim just is not in a healthy spot at all. Right there, you see him diving in. He does manage to steal the Drake. That is a good job with that CC, but it's not going to really matter as we have a nice Orianna ult coming out.
Was a good
That is
equalizer,
Bonobo.
but-
He's going to get taken down. He is still in passive form, so they are going to have to finish him off. But in the meantime, you've got Wutan up in the top taking down Floral, and that is a nice hook by Lamar to keep him in that fight. In the meantime,
This should be a
Idris
kill for him,
is
too.
running away from this Viego. The Ruined King, however, is just chasing him down, jumping on him, and that's going to be an ace for the side of Tub.
Yeah, so, you know, I guess that's why you pick Hecarim, right? You can ult over to get steals, and that's the one thing you can do. So he does steal the Drake away there, which is kind of nice, but ultimately it's a 5-for-1, so I don't know if you'll take those as HBK. I guess you'll take anything to get out of this game as fast as possible to preserve your rapidly declining mental, probably.
Yeah, I feel like you've got to go for what you can, and that is definitely something that he saw available, which it is nice. And then we got another ult coming out from Zillion in order to stay alive, because that ult has absolutely no cooldown, which is absolutely ridiculous. We have a nice ult coming out from Nautilus, though, as the depth charge knocks him up, and then we have Crumpy coming in to finish him off. Hayate finishing off Hecarim as well, and that is going to be an inhibitor down and another inhibitor down as well as they move to this bot side. There is literally nothing HBK can do at this point.
No,
you already have
They're
them.
so far
yeah.
behind.
They are so far behind. This stat check is absolutely ridiculous. That is a nice equalizer coming out, but is not going to do enough damage to
Crumpy
make a
lives.
huge difference.
That's really depressing.
Bonobo jumping in as well, trying to get something. He's going to get pulled back by the shockwave, though, and get taken out as Crumpy goes godlike. I feel like this is just going to be an absolutely nasty thing.
Yeah,
Crumpy is pushing his luck. Ryer jumping into the backline as well. He doesn't have the perfect KDA, so he doesn't mind going down one more time as they are just pressuring HBK, and the Ugly Barnacles are just going to clean sweep this game. Like, that is a 26-7, no towers, everything over to the side of the Ugly Barnacles.
This was close to first leg. It was over.
Uh-oh, I feel like you've got a little bit of mechanical issues coming out from your mic, Asum, but hopefully we'll get that fixed here in just a moment. Hayat is getting it taken down as he tries to come back. He does get resurrected by the Zillion ulti, only to die again. We have the Lazy Ostrich taking down Pro Lupul. Red turret gets destroyed. Right there, we got a nice stun coming out on from the Zillion Soul, and this is just going to be the Ugly Barnacles cleaning it up and taking down the Nexus.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we expected, right? They just clean sweep them, and it's not even looking even moderately close anywhere on the map. Every single lane just imploded, and it's just a pretty clean game from Tub, to be honest.
That was a very clean game from Tub. I feel like HBK tried to come out with something, but the communication just wasn't there. And unfortunately, we are not on patch 11.6 anymore. We're on patch 11.11, in which Hecarim is not the best pick. I like the idea of picking 3 jungler flexes, though, because I think that was what HBK's original plan was. They're like, hey, we're going to pick 3 potential junglers for our first 3 picks, so they don't know who's going where. And then at that point, you can kind of start mixing it up a little bit.
The problem is there was no reason to do that because they'd already seen some of the picks. They really only need to match flex picks where you're blinding stuff. They could just commit to just counter picking what's already up and then flexing other picks later if there are no flex picks on the other side. And the Tristana, I mean, could be flexed mid, but realistically, you know against this team, it's probably going bot. Then you should just pick something in Tristana bot lane and then worry about flex picks. So you could have easily just taken AD carry plus Zac and Rumble, and I would have been pretty happy with it. But Hecarim on 1 was just really baffling.
It really, especially in this patch, unfortunately. I don't want to keep harping on that, but it's kind of one of those things that you got to make sure you're up to date on what's happening within League, because League is one of those games that's constantly changing for good and for bad. Sometimes for, wait, you did what? Why? I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it was just like the draft couldn't do anything for them, and even without the draft difference, I think that, it wasn't a super huge draft gap. It was just they got outplayed. I mean, from the level 1 onwards, they just get caught out all over the map. The 1v1 top lane went terribly. The bot lane was just getting collapsed on constantly. Viego was picking up kills left and right. Mid lane went okay for Idris in the early levels, but then once Organa got a couple of items, started taking really bad trades, and I mean, it was just all over the place. Tub just dominated them.
Yep. And with that, we are ready to take a quick little break. We'll be right back with an interview, so stick around.
Hello, folks. Chris Edgeworth here for the final interview of the day. I'm joined by Lamar the Lizard from victorious The Ugly Barnacles. How you feeling after the big win?
Well, pretty happy, to be honest. I thought it would go a little bit longer. We all got psyched out for it, excited to play, and didn't expect it to be done that fast. But
that's okay. There's time
we'll
for
take
flex. Time for flex. Practice for clash. So talk to me about the draft that you guys put together. I am a big fan of Viego. I think he's just cracked. Obviously popped off in this game in Ryer's hands. What did you think about the draft that you put together, and what you were up against, especially with the spicy triple jungle first half of the draft from the other day?
I mean, the hardest part about playing against HBK is that we don't know who's going where. they have like a couple people on the roster, and then we can never tell who's playing. So that's annoying. And then they picked like 3 junglers, and we were all trying to figure out where they were going. But in the end, we managed to pick everyone in the right spot. We knew where everybody was going, and we thought they were gonna take the Nautilus because I guess we saw them play it a bit in the match history, and I'll take that champ all the time. And everybody really had champs they were comfortable on. Like they banned junglers, but Ryer can literally play anything, so it doesn't really matter. And same with Hutan, and Crumpy pretty much played the lane by himself. Because I kept going mid because Zillion was roaming mid trying to kill Orion all the time. It was just I guess if the Zillion stays in lane, it'll probably just die. But yeah, no, the draft I didn't even think was close.
So leading off from where you're talking about the roaming, it was not super close. But talk to me a little bit though about where you felt it was decisive from your end, where you thought like, we got it, it's done here. I mean, obviously you felt confident coming into this, but what did you think was the big moments?
They kept sending so many people mid and spending so many resources mid, and it didn't really do anything. Like there was like 4 people mid to kill Oriana, and they used ultimates and flashes, and then when Dragon's up, they don't have anything, and then they used like Rumble ult and Hecarim ult to kill me, and then I think Ryer and Crumpy pretty much like 2v4'd. So they just didn't have any things left to use after they just spent everything trying to roam mid. They really had nothing left.
Looking at the board here, I'm noticing you guys all had the mercs. It's pretty doomed when you have like 3.5-year champions that are full magic damage. Rumble,
Magic,
Zag,
yeah.
the Zillion, and then Kaisa, hybrid. Funnily enough, I gotta get this pun in because I'd be sad otherwise. But obviously, if you're gonna draft Hecarim on this patch, you gotta get the Zillion so you can roll it back a couple patches to when it's actually a viable champion. So respect on that.
Fair
For the
enough.
theme, you gotta do it on theme. All right, let's talk about the league. So, Ugly Barnacles only dropped 1 in this set. How do you feel about the rising tide behind you? By the likes of Udyr, Pog, and SGR.
Well, it's definitely more exciting when you're having games that are a lot closer. Like we look forward to versing all those teams because we know it's going to be a challenge. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think we lost to Ood, and that's the one stain on our record that really upset us. So hopefully we can win the next one and be up. So we look forward to versing them, especially again.
All right, Lamar, thank you so much for joining us for an interview. Do you have any final words for us before we step away?
Ban Nautilus. That's it.
There you go. Keep people on notice, folks. Watch out for Ugly Barnacles coming up. Lamar, thank you so much for joining us for an interview. But don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to be right back with the lounge.